We're back for our 5 best player props for week number 9 of the NFL season. Earlier today, we posted our 5 best bets for spreads and money lines for this week 9 slate. And again, today, we will have our 5 best player props. Now, folks, before we get into the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more NFL content here on the channel. Again, best bets and player props every single Saturday. And on Tuesday, our full week 9 predictions. And of course, next week for week 10. Again, every single Tuesday, we predict every single game. So go make sure to check that out. That'll be linked in the description down below for this week. And again, make sure to go check that video out next Tuesday. Also, folks, here on the channel, our weekly college football predictions and best bets, NBA daily NBA best bets, along with college basketball coming up on Monday morning. Okay, on to the first of our 5 best player props for week number 9, kicking things off with an NFC North showdown at Ford Field in Detroit, Michigan, between the Detroit Lions and the Minnesota Vikings. Do I believe this game may get out of hand this week? It might. It honestly might. Just because of how pitiful Minnesota may be. I mean, Kevin O'Connell might try to get Carson Wentz coming off surgery to go start this week. I'm joking. It's going to be J.J. McCarthy. Probably. Or is it going to be Max Brosmer? I don't know. It's going to be J.J. Anyways, though, the Detroit Lions at home, this is a Lions smash spot. They will have, again, their fair share of very competitive football games throughout the course of the regular season. They're going to, right? The Lions next week go to Washington. That's not really on paper the tough game we thought it was going to be, but they go to Philadelphia in a couple weeks. They're going to play games against the Packers coming up, the Rams, Steelers. They're going to have tough games. This one's not going to be. And you know how the Lions operate, even in games where they blow teams out, like we've seen this season with the Bears, where Amon-Ra St. catches multiple touchdowns in the fourth quarter after that game's already over. The Lions don't care. They will throw the ball, especially in the red zone late in games, but they're going to run the score up on you. They're going to, right? And honestly, this isn't really about, Detroit, being, they just want, they want to win by 40 points. It's really a result of their run game. When they're already up, they'll be up big, and they'll run the ball on you up and down the field, and then they'll get to the 10-yard line, and they'll just try to throw it in with Goff, likely to Amon-Ra St. That's okay. Again, we're going to get this done, I believe, pretty much in the first half. I think, obviously, it's not going to be over at halftime, this over 78.5 receiving yard line for Amon-Ra St. But it should be over fairly early, I believe, into the third quarter. Amon-Ra, I think, is going to torch this defense. Minnesota last week got beat down by the Los Angeles Chargers in LA. Back-to-back road games now for Minnesota. It's a team that feels a little broken, if we're being honest. Back-to-back L's, you're 3-4. Last week they sent out a quarterback who was obviously not ready to play. Didn't feel like he was in a good position to play. At least we could all see that. Got season-ending surgery the week after that game. And we saw the Chargers really exploit this defense. Ladd McConkey had 6 catches for 88 yards. The tight end in Los Angeles, Orane Gadsden, had 5 catches for 77 yards. It's a fairly good matchup, in my opinion, for Amon-Ra St. Really, are there any bad matchups for Amon-Ra and Jared Goff? Because, this is obviously the duo in Detroit. And I know, again, there's a huge line of options that Jared Goff has to choose from beyond Amon-Ra St. You got Sam Laporta, Jameson Williams. You've got Isaac Tesla, the rookie out of Arkansas. And obviously, Gibbs and Montgomery go out for pass routes as well. I get that. But, Amon-Ra St. Brown's your guy here. It is. And Amon-Ra has gone over this line multiple times this season. Against St. Brown so far this season, 50 catches for 538 yards. That is 8th in the National Football League. And we only need 79 yards out the guy. He's gotten close some weeks, but last week against the Buccaneers, obviously before the bye week for Detroit, 6 catches, 10 targets for 86 yards. Bengals, 8 catches for 100 yards. And I'm not telling you he plays the same way as Ladd McConkey, but he's better than Ladd McConkey. And Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to find ways down the field against this football team. And if we do see that blowout scenario, look what happened when the Lions played the Chicago Bears. Amon-Ra saw his best game of the year. He had 9 catches on 11 targets for 115 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now, again, a lot of those touchdowns came late in the game once the final outcome was already determined, but I think we're more than okay here with Amon-Ra St. to go over this line, and we know what Jared Goff does against bad defenses, and really teams like this. Remember, don't forget, too, like last year, this was a game, Week 18, Sunday Night Football. Winner got the NFC North crown. The loser had to go on the road in the postseason to Arizona to take on the Los Angeles Rams. Lions went out there and they won. I know Goff did not play his best game last year in Week 18 against the Vikings, even though his team found a way to win the football game. It's not even close, comparing what Minnesota was last year, the playoff threat, and that's, again, partially that is Sam Darnold and the fact that they're going with the rookie quarterback this season, but and the injuries obviously Minnesota's had as well, but it's not the same, even defensively. The Vikings are not the same team that they were last season. Detroit's a much better squad, and I fully expect the Lions to straight up just put it on the Minnesota Vikings this week. So, and a big part of that, again, is going to be Amon-Ra St. over 78.5 receiving yards against a line that he passed last week and only 6 catches. I think we see upwards of 9, potentially 10 catches this week for Amon-Ra, and this should be an easy mark for him to get, again, considering how the Vikings played on Thursday Night Football against the Los Angeles Chargers. So give me Amon-Ra St. Brown over 78.5 receiving yards this week at home at Ford Field against the Minnesota Vikings. We go on now to our second best player prop of the week, and we go to Lambeau Field. To Green Bay, Wisconsin, we have the Carolina Panthers on the road against the Green Bay Packers, and I am going with Rico Dowdle over 49.5 rushing yards. He needs 50. And I know the Packers have a great run D. They have one of the best front lines in all of the National Football League. I understand. Dowdle's the number 1 back now, though. And I don't think he's going to get those 30 carries like he had in the Cowboys game where he had 30 carries, 183 yards. I don't know if he's going to get his 23 carries like he had in the Dolphins game where he ran for 206 yards. But in a system now where he is fully established as the number 1 back, Canales has already said we are going to go to Rico Dowdle a lot more, basically insinuating that Dowdle's the number 1 back and Chuba Hubbard has been moved to number 2, which I know Hubbard's your younger option that you'd like to play, but Rico Dowdle's your guy. Actually, no, Chuba's 1 year younger than Rico Dowdle. I feel like, at least, when you think of these two guys, you think, oh, Hubbard much younger. Rico Dowdle's 27, Hubbard's 26. So there's really not much there. I mean, you go with the better running back, and by far the better running back this season has been Rico Dowdle. He's been able to make more moves. He's been able to get the ball downfield. He's been able to make better cuts. And, I mean, that's obviously the proof is in the pudding with that. Obviously, Dowdle's yardage is way better than Hubbard's is, and I get it. When Dowdle was going on his big run, Hubbard was injured. But now, if we get 18 carries this game out of Rico Dowdle, which is something that I believe the Panthers are going to look to, and I'll get to that in a second, we will be absolutely fine. Rico Dowdle, in every game since his emergence of breaking through for 200 yards against the Miami Dolphins, has gone over 49.5 rushing yards. It's not a lot for a lead back to get in the NFL, and I know the line's so low, it's because Green Bay has a really good run defense. I completely understand that, but Rico Dowdle, since becoming the number 1 guy and since, getting all this run, 23 carries for 206 yards against the Miami Dolphins, 30 carries for 183 yards against the Dallas Cowboys, 17 carries for 79 yards against the New York Jets, and 8 carries for 54 yards against the Buffalo Bills. Again, that's with Chuba back, and that's with a, straight split backfield where Dowdle still went out there and outplayed Chuba Hubbard. Now, if you want to compare what the Pittsburgh Steelers did last week against the Green Bay Packers, it wasn't a bad rushing game. I mean, again, that's not the reason why they were so successful, but Jalen Warren, 13 carries, 62 yards. Kenneth Gainwell, 5 carries for 31 yards. Combined, both Pittsburgh backs had 18 carries for 93 yards. And, I mean, even if we see that same type of split where, you're seeing 3/4 of the carries go to Dowdle and the other 1/4 go to Chuba Hubbard, which I actually assume that's probably what we're going to see out of Dave Canales in Carolina this week. Okay, I'm fine with that. Completely. If we get 15 carries this game out of Rico Dowdle, he should go over this line. I mean, Rico Dowdle, 15 carries to get 50 yards. I mean, we need to average about 3.5 yards a carry. He should be fine there. He should be fine. On top of that, too, okay, what is Carolina going to do this week? I mean, seriously. I believe Bryce Young's going to be back, right? Bryce Young's fully healthy. He's back. Okay. I thought it was going to be another Dalton start, but it turns out Dalton's injured in his own right. He's got a thumb injury. I don't even know if Dalton's going to be able to play. Probably, but I mean, again, he's going to be backing up Bryce Young. But Bryce Young in this environment on the road coming off an injury and not playing last week, yeah, I don't love that. I just don't. So I believe the game plan early for the Carolina Panthers has to be to run the football. No, 100% it has to be. Look at the games where they were so successful and they won their 3-game winning streak against the Dolphins, against the Cowboys, against the Jets. What do they do very early in all those games? They establish the run. And if you're Carolina, at least game plan-wise and scheme-wise for this football game, you need to find a way to shorten this game against the Green Bay Packers. Any means necessary. Because on paper, are you better than the Packers? Hell no. But if you can shorten the game and if you can win in spots and limit the amount of possessions Green Bay has with the football, you're in the best possible chance. You're in the best possible case, or you have the best possible chance to win the football game. Now, is Carolina going to beat Green Bay this week? I highly doubt it, right? They are one of the biggest dogs of the entire week. The only bigger dog this week is the New Orleans Saints in Los Angeles with Tyler Shaw as their quarterback. The Panthers are 13.5-point dogs in Green Bay. Will they win? Likely not. But if you want to have the best possible chance to win the football game, shorten it, find ways again to go out there and work the clock with a guy like Rico Dowdle. And I feel like, again, he's going to get about 15 carries this game, maybe even more. So 48.5, 49.5, wherever this line may be on Sunday is an absolute joke in my opinion. Rico Dowdle's 5th in the NFL in rushing yards, and he's had 2 starts all year long. The only guys in the National Football League who have more rushing yards than Rico Dowdle are Jonathan Taylor, who should be the most valuable player, James Cook, J.K. Dobbins, and Javonte Williams. That is absurd. As absurd in Rico Dowdle when you consider everything. He's really only had 2 true starts this season. Even the Jets game, technically that was a Chuba Hubbard start, and they just ran Dowdle a lot. You gotta put a lot of respect on Rico Dowdle's name. He's been killing it this season. He will continue to do so on the road at Green Bay this week. We only need 50 yards. I absolutely believe it's going to happen. Let's go Rico Dowdle. On now to our third best player prop of the week. We move to who? Las Vegas, Nevada for the Las Vegas Raiders and the Jacksonville Jaguars. I do feel Gino Smith is like right here in terms of potentially getting benched. Now, I don't think it's going to happen, and I'm not a big, he's got Tyler Lockett back, he's going to be fine, okay? Again, it's an unction in Vegas. I don't think the Lockett edition from Tennessee is going to make a big switch and a big change of what the Raiders have already been this season. But this line's too high for Gino Smith. And I believe, too, like, they are close, I think, to benching him. I don't know if Pete Carroll wants to do that. I don't know. Again, I don't think so. That's his guy. I know Aiden O'Connell's close to coming back. Again, Kenny Pickett is just around as well. And I know the Raiders are likely getting Brock Bowers back this week. They are getting Brock Bowers back this week, and that's great. That's obviously your number one guy. No disrespect to Trey Tucker, but Trey Tucker's not a number 1 receiver in the National Football League, or at least not a number 1 option in the National Football League. So getting a guy like Brock Bowers back is absolutely big time for Las Vegas. So good on them. Again, that should make it a lot easier, in my opinion, for the Raiders, or for Gino Smith at least, to have a big game. But I think the Jacksonville defense is very underrated. I believe it is, right? You look at what they've done all season long. I get it. The Rams game was not great, but like I said earlier today in our best spreads and money line plays, no one really has success against the Los Angeles Rams. That's one of the best teams in the National Football League. That's one of the best offenses in the National Football League with what Stafford and Devontae has been doing. I know Puka didn't play the London game, but still, I think the Jacksonville defense is very underrated. And yes, they have to deal with Brock Bowers this week. That's okay. That's okay. Bowers coming off injury, first game back, and it's Gino, because Gino's struggling. He struggled all year long. Gino Smith, 1,400 yards, 7 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. I mean, pretty certain he's got the most picks in the National Football League this season. And just watch the Raiders play and look how much Gino struggles. It's just, it's hard to watch sometimes. And not always is it Gino's fault. I mean, the run game is not doing him very well. It's not given, any play action cells or whatnot, and that's not Gentry's fault. That's purely just the O-line. And again, that somewhat goes into the fact that Gino has no time for the ball sometimes too, but it's such a stagnant offense. It's such a horrible offense. And Gino, unfortunately, is at the helm. And Gino Smith has played like the worst starting quarterback in the National Football League this season. And I keep saying it, the Raiders are stuck with him for 3 years. 2 more years after this, but 3 years total. What's the plan here? I mean, this is a Kirk Cousins situation that's about to unfold, and you have to think Raiders would take a quarterback in the draft this offseason, but honestly, maybe no. Nah, you have to. You got to go quarterback. Let's bring the Men Dynasty to Las Vegas, okay? Let's do that. Anyways, he's going to be a Dolphin, I think, which I'm fine with too. Just not a Jet, please. Yeah. Anyways, I think Gino goes under. I mean, you look at the games Gino Smith has had up until this point. Gino Smith has not gone over this line since the Colts game where he threw for exactly 228 yards. But let's talk about that, right? Gino Smith has covered this line 3 times all year long, okay? Last game against the Kansas City Chiefs, he goes 10 for 16 passing for 67 yards in the Raiders' shutout loss at Arrowhead Stadium. Prior to that, against the Tennessee Titans in a victory, Gino Smith only throws for 174 yards. The game before that against the Colts, yes, he goes over the line by 0.5 yards. Gino Smith has 228 yards against the Colts on 25 of 36 passing. That was a game in which they lost by 34 points. And the starters were playing for the Raiders at the very last drive of the game in the 4th quarter. They were still playing Gino Smith. There's no Kenny Pickett to be seen. It was all Gino Smith because Pete Carroll said, we need time. We need more reps out there. This is a quarterback who's been in the National Football League for 12 years. It's his 13th or 12th year in the NFL. Still need more reps with this team. What are you doing at practice? So, and that was the only reason he went over the line there. Game against the Bears, 117 yards. In a blowout loss, 289 yards to the Commanders, 180 against the Chargers. And again, the outlier game, the fake game against the Patriots on the road at Gillette Stadium, 362 yards in week 1. I have no trust in Gino Smith. I have no trust in the Vegas offense. Yes, Bauer's back is a huge plus, but still asking Gino to get 228 yards is just too far-fetched, in my opinion, against a defense that is severely underrated as well in the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm going to go Gino Smith under 227.5 passing yards. The only way, Gino's best chance to give us this game is a blowout. Loss, obviously. Jacksonville's up big, and the Raiders just keep the starters out there like they did in Washington, like they did in the Indianapolis game. And, obviously he's going up against the second-team defense in Jacksonville, and they're moving the ball up and down the field in the fourth quarter. I think the Jags win. I don't think it gets that out of hand, though. I think Jacksonville wins it by about 10 points, to the point where, they're still playing good defense. They're still trying to get stops and not putting in the backups. So we should be fine here. Gino Smith under 228 or under 227.5 passing yards. We barely go unders here on the channel, only for special circumstances, and that's exactly it right here. Gino Smith under. The Raiders offense is horrible, and that will continue this week at home in Vegas. We move on now to our fourth best bet of the video. Let's go to Orchard Park, as we have Travis Kelce over 45.5 receiving yards. I am bamboozled by this line. Last 5 weeks, Travis Kelce's got over this. I mean, at the beginning of the season, I was like, oh, is Kelce washed? Not really. He's obviously not going to give you marquee numbers and, best tight end in the league numbers anymore, but you can argue he's definitely still top 5, top 10, 100%. Yes, Kelce's 36 years old, but so far this season, Kelce 37 catches for 474 yards and 3 touchdowns, and it's been the emergence as of late that has been big for Travis Kelce. I'm going to take the Raiders game with a grain of salt because that game was over fairly early, and the Chiefs pulled their starters in the early fourth quarter. How they, before the 2-minute warning, started taking knees with Gardner Minshew. But in that game, still against the Vegas Raiders, Travis Kelce had 3 catches for 454 yards. The last time Travis Kelce did not go over 45.5 receiving yards. You got to go back to that game on Sunday Night Football in New York, which is, in hindsight, a hilarious game that they put on Sunday Night Football. It was the end of the Russell Wilson era as a starting quarterback anywhere in the National Football League. But Travis Kelce in that game only had 25 yards. Other than that, guys, Travis Kelce's gone over this line in every other game he's played this year. Even the games where, is Kelce washed? He had 2 catches against the Chargers. He still had 47 receiving yards. The game against the Eagles, 4 catches, 61 yards. This is not that big of a line for Kelce, especially because Kelce has big play potential still. And I know the Bills' defense isn't very good. I know they shut down the Panthers last week. I don't care that you shut down the Panthers. The Panthers' offense, and I love the Red Rifle. I'm a big Andy Dalton guy. Andy Dalton looked horrible in that game at home. Again, we knew it was cooked from the start, but really, as soon as Andy Dalton took a sack at the end of the first half to not get the 3 points for Carolina because they had no timeouts. The Bills' defense is not that good. I mean, and, the defense, recently, I'll give them credit. They've shown up. When you get to playing good offenses like the Kansas City Chiefs, and you get to playing elite teams like they will see throughout the course of the postseason and in December and January, this defense is going to struggle, and they're going to revert back to what they were at the beginning of the season, which was Josh Allen. How many points can Josh Allen put on the board, and can Josh Allen dig them out of holes? Because that's what they're going to return to be eventually. Right now, yes, is the offense kind of mid? Is the pass game mid? 100%. James Cook had a monster game against the Carolina Panthers with 216 yards. Eventually, that's going to turn itself around where that offense is going to need to step up in big ways. However, asking Kelce to only get 46 yards is not that bad, considering the way, and I get it, the Chiefs have made it an emphasis to make Rashee Rice the focal point of the offense. Right? Rice is their number 1 guy. Worthy's involved too, but obviously they are looking in any way possible to get the ball to Rashee Rice coming off that suspension. Kelce still finds production. And honestly, when Kansas City does just look and target Rashee Rice so much, it opens up spots for Kelce because the defensive focus for years in Kansas City, throughout the, you can call it a dynasty, it is a dynasty, throughout the dynasty years and throughout all their winnings, and they're still winning, obviously, even though I think the Colts are going to get them in the AFC Championship game this year, the main focal point has always been Kelce. Even when Tyreek Hill was there, Travis Kelce's the guy you have to watch for. Obviously, again, you got to make sure your fastest guys can go downfield with Tyreek, but Kelce's always going to hurt you too. For the first time in a very long time, Kelce's not the number 1 focal point of the defense. It is Rashee Rice, especially obviously with Rice coming off the suspension and being cleared to play. That opens up Kelce so much. Last week against the Washington Commanders, 6 catches for 99 yards for Kelce. Sure, he has not reached the century mark so far this season, but he's getting there. Vegas game, 3 catches, 54 yards. Lions game, 6 catches, 78 yards. Jags game, 7 catches, 61 yards. Ravens game, 5 catches, 48 yards. Again, there's only been one game all year long where he hasn't gone over this line, and that was on Sunday night against the Giants. And sure, he's gotten extremely close in multiple games to not getting it against Baltimore and against the Chargers in Brazil, but he's found a way to do so. I mean, as much as we say Rashi's the emphasis of the offense he is, who is Mahomes' favorite target still? Undoubtedly, it is Travis Kelce. I know he's 36. He's still playing fairly good football for 36 years of age, and I expect Kelce to go over this line on the road in a hostile environment up in Orchard Park, New York. I still think the Bills win the football game, but I'm going to go Travis Kelce over 45.5 receiving yards on the road in Buffalo against the Bills. On now to our final best player prop of the week. Let's go to Sunday Night Football. I have nothing for Monday night. If anything, if you want to pick for Monday Night Football, go Bam Knight over rushing yards. I don't entirely know what the number is just yet. But if you want anything from Monday Night Football for player props, I'd go Bam Knight over. And at the same time, I'd probably go Jake Ferguson over as well. I think that's a great bounce back spot for Ferguson after his disappointing day on National Tight Ends National Tight Ends Day in Denver with a whole whopping 0 catches for 0 yards. Anyways, though, we're going to be looking on Sunday Night Football here between the Washington Commanders and the Seattle Seahawks. Full transparency, I picked the Washington Commanders to cover this line, and I thought a big reason to that would be them stopping Jackson Smith-Njigba, or at least trying to stop Jackson Smith-Njigba. That doesn't mean they're going to do so. I still think the Commanders are going to cover, and I think, again, even in games where the Seahawks offense has not looked great this year, it's JSN still. Like, in games in which the Seahawks offense has looked bad, they've looked, they don't really move the ball that well, and they score 20 points, JSN still finds his way to over 100 yards. So why would this week be any different? It's a lackluster and it's a, very depleted Washington Commanders secondary. And I've shown, I've said this multiple times, I am very scared they're going to attempt to put Marshawn Lattimore on Jackson Smith-Njigba because Lattimore has been gifted a lot of number one matchups all year long, and it's just because, I don't know if it's just Lattimore's not very good. Partially it is that, but at the same time, like, the Commanders don't really have any other better DBs. And they have an injured secondary, too. They just have an all-around injured squad. So, okay, Lattimore, go guard the number ones, right? That's what he did last season in the postseason, and he's been doing that pretty much for most of the regular season as well right now. I hope they don't do that this week, or if not, just double JSN. Regardless, Smith-Njigba is going to find ways to the football because ultimately when you break down the Seattle Seahawks roster and you look at their receiving core, who else is going to make plays? Seriously, who else is going to make plays? Cooper Kupp? He's 30 plus and he's kind of washed, okay? AJ Barner, he's a tight end. They don't really have another receiver that I'm all that, confident that Darnold can move the ball to or get the ball to. I think Washington's winning the football game, but does that mean that the Seahawks won't score? Obviously, they're going to. We're going to see points in this game. I mean, Torrey Horton, again, the rookie out of Colorado State, is a threat as well, but he's been more featured just as a slot, deep ball guy and kick return guy so far for Seattle. I guess Jake Bobo's around too, but I mean, come on now. It's JSN's, team essentially at this point. Now look at the games Jackson Smith-Njigba's put up this season. It feels like every game he's putting up 130 plus yards because that's really what, or 100 plus yards because that's what he's been doing the last 3 weeks. Texans game, 8 catches, 14 targets, 123 yards and a touchdown. Jags game in Jacksonville. Again, that's a game where the Seahawks offense was not very good, just like the Houston game, but yet what is the only focal point of the offense? Jackson Smith-Njigba. By the way, this is a game where Sam Darnold has 290 yards, but the offense scores 20 points. Over half of those yards, 162, are JSN. 8 catches, 13 targets, 162 yards for Jackson Smith-Njigba. That equates to over 20 yards a catch. Buccaneers game, 8 catches, 9 targets, 132 yards and a touchdown. Again, last 3 weeks, 8 catches a pop for Jackson Smith-Njigba. Every game well over 100 receiving yards. Game prior to that against the Cardinals, 4 catches, 79 yards. That's the worst game he's played all year long because like Travis Kelce, with the exception of one game all year long, Jackson Smith-Njigba has gone over 90.5 receiving yards. Against the Saints, 5 catches, 6 targets, 96 yards and a touchdown. That's a game in which JSN and all the starters were pulled fairly early because of the beatdown they were putting on the Cock Commander and the New Orleans Saints. Prior to that, they're beating the Cock. Nice. Anyways, game before that against the Pittsburgh Steelers, 8 catches, 10 targets, 103 yards, and on opening Sunday in Seattle against the San Francisco 49ers, 9 catches, 13 targets, 124 yards. We can easily expect JSN to find 8 catches. That's basically what he's gotten every single game so far this year. Targets-wise, you can expect upwards of 10. again, it's a fairly simple line, and I get it. There's a lot of focus on JSN defensively for Washington, but Washington is yet to prove that they can cover elite receivers this season. I've seen it all year long. We saw it in Dallas. We've seen it, we've seen it every game pretty much that they've played so far this year. We saw that in the game that they lost to Kansas City to Rashee Rice. They can't guard elite receivers. They can't guard number one receivers. Why would this game be any different? I still think Washington's going to be good in this game. I think Washington's probably going to cover in this game, and that's not because of their defense. That's because of what they can do offensively with Jaden Daniels and Daniels returning to the lineup on Sunday Night Football. But in terms of this game, or in terms of the other side of the ball with Seattle's offense going up against this Washington defense, I have no faith in them, stopping JSN. It's not, you can't stop JSN. It's about how can you limit Jackson Smith-Njigba. I believe they're going to do a good enough job here, and I believe JSN will find a way to go over 91.5 receiving yards again, or 90.5 receiving yards. I just don't think he's going to have the monster 150-yard game. I think he's going to be, 100, 110, which is still like massive day, a great day for any receiver in the National Football League. The numbers JSN's been putting up this season, though, it's good. He's been putting up 160-yard games. It should go to show, again, how well he's been this season and how impressive he's been this year. I think, again, 91 yards is pretty easy for the guy. He's only, by the way, 181 yards off of 1,000 already. And the Seahawks still haven't even hit the midway point of their season. So, again, it goes to show how great he has been. And I think we see more of that excellence on Sunday night. Over 90.5 receiving yards for JSN for the Seattle Seahawks in Landover, Maryland against the Commanders. Folks, that'll do it for our 5 best player props for week number 9 in the NFL season. If you haven't yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure you like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you disagree with any of the picks. We'll be back again next week on Tuesday for our full NFL Week 10 predictions, and next Saturday as well for more best bets, spreads, and best player props. Folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.